What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my unit analysis and builds guide for Female Shez and Male Shez. So the female version of Shez has been given out as a free-to-play unit in the quest, and she is given out as a 5-star unit. And if you're trying to plus and merge her, then you can simply say 40,000 feathers, and after the 3 hopes banner is over, she's going to be present as a 3-star 4-star unit in the normal summoning pool. So from the Halloween banner onwards, you're going to be able to get her in the normal summoning pool. But as of making this video, you can only plus 1 merge her, and she's definitely the kind of unit that a lot of people are going to be trying to plus and merge. So she is a 187 BST Gen 7 Axe Infantry unit with Crimson War Axe as her preferred weapon. Unlike Male Shez, this weapon doesn't really give her the dual phase brave weapon. I guess that would have been too good for a free to play unit. So she can simply get +6 attack and speed in combat, and then she can get the effects based on the HP that she has at start of the combat. So if she's above or at 20% HP, she can get special cooldown charge +1 on both the opponent's hits and her own attacks. So that is really good for retaliating back with 2 cooldown specials. And if she's at or above 40% HP, she can reduce the damage from foes first attack by 40%. So overall, this weapon is actually not that bad, even though it's not as good as Male Shez's. It's still pretty nice for a free-to-play weapon because it frees up you from running Flashing Blade or Bread Secret Seal on Shez, and the damage reduction is definitely pretty nice, especially if you're running Null Follow-Up Inner Slot B. And her stat spread is also quite good, having Super Boon in both attack and speed. And she does have good base attack at 41 and good base speed at base 42. And her defense and resistance can definitely work out as well. Kinda hard to mess up the stat allocation of these kinds of high BST units, honestly. And she's pretty much in the archetype of the fast Axe Infantry units that we have seen, like Ninja Shamir or Ninja Hana, which are not going to be getting a seasonal weapon refine, and they will probably just have to depend on an arcane weapon. So Female Shez is different in that regard. Not only she has got more attack than both of these, but she's just as fast as Ninja Hana with that speed super boon. The only thing that she's kind of lacking is the HP, but honestly it's not that big of a deal, especially with her being able to score 190 BST and also having pretty good stat spread. Life and Death and Dull Claws are the passive skills, and unfortunately these skills are not the best for inheritance, but I guess Dull Claws could be used as a budget option if you don't have a lull skill, so that is at least decent as a fodder. Overall, in my opinion, Female Shez is easily one of the best demote units that we have got in the recent times, especially with a weapon like this, and as a merge project, she's going to be really helpful to a lot of people in Arena as a 190 BST scoring unit, and she can also function with a lot of speed stacking builds. Of course, she's not going to be hitting as hard as someone like Ascended Hilda, for example, but still overall she is a nice unit that a lot of people are probably going to be plussed and merging. But it is going to be pretty hard to get the copies of her because she's not exactly a focus unit, and getting the copies of demoted units is on pure luck. Everyone gets a free copy of Female Shez, so if you just want to build her up on a budget for limited battles or for Arena Assault, then you can simply give her Speed Smoke and Reposition, and that's all she really needs. Dull Claws is actually pretty nice in Arena Assault for ignoring the visible buffs of the opponent, and Life and Death can work out fine on a budget. You can just run something like Blade Session or Attack Speed Form. If you're going to be investing a bit more into her, then she definitely appreciates Male Shez as a fodder because of getting the Oath skill and the Bulwark skill. So Bulwark skill is pretty good here because it does give you the self-healing, which can keep you in the HP threshold of your weapon, and it can also keep you in the threshold of the ideal skill so that you can get the more offenses. But of course, you're going to be missing out on Null Follow-Up here if you're going to be running this Bulwark skill. So you can try and run her with someone like Brave Crom or maybe Legendary Male Violet to give her the Null Follow-Up externally. And you can also run Velocity on her so that she can retaliate back with Vital Astra. And Vital Astra is going to be the special which you can run at max investment because it is going to be giving you good damage output. And if it's ready at start of the combat, then she's also going to be able to get even more damage reduction. So Velocity and the damage reduction from her weapon is going to be stacking up for 64% damage reduction, and the Null Guard present in Velocity is definitely really good with the special acceleration that she has in her weapon, so she can always retaliate back with Vital Astras and kill a lot of units on the counter attack. But a lot of times when the opponents have damage reduction or they're really bulky, they're going to be able to survive, and again this build does appreciate the external Null Follow-Up. Attack Speed Oath 4 is going to be a pretty amazing skill because of the offenses it provides you and also the teleportation. So that is definitely a skill that you can run at max investment. And you can also run her with Attack Speed Ideal and Null Follow-Up. So if you cannot really give her the external Null Follow-Up, then you can just run Null Follow-Up in her slot B. She already gets the damage reduction from the weapon, and she only gets the damage reduction on foes' first attack. So Null Follow-Up definitely helps you against the foes which have auto follow-up attacks. So you can just deny that with your Null Follow-Up and still get that 40% damage reduction to improve many of your matchups really. Vital Astra again is just here as a damaging special. It's not going to be the easiest to pre-charge it, but because she does have the special acceleration in her weapon, sometimes you could end up having this at pre-charged, so it could help you in those matchups, but overall this is mainly there for the damage output. And if you do not have Vital Astra, then you can just run something else like Ruptured Sky or Glimmer or Moonbow as a 2 cooldown special. Being able to retaliate back with your special is going to be really good for just one-shotting a lot of the opponents, and that is definitely one of the best things that you can do with these Shez. You can also run her with Attack Speed Unity as one of the other slot A options, which does have good synergy with Attack Speed Oath 4 and also Speed Smoke 4 if you want to get like more damage reduction. And she can definitely run some high cooldown specials like Ether because it's not the hardest to charge it up with the special acceleration. Attack Speed Unity can definitely help you if you get debuffed on those stats or if you're panicked for your speed, so it's not going to be getting your speed lowered, which is really good with this kind of damage reduction slotsy skill. And finally, she could also be used in Arena as a 190 BST scoring unit, and you can easily run Distant Dart or Distant Counter on her because the 40% damage reduction is not speed based, so she doesn't really need to outspeed someone like Duo Dogger for example to really get that full damage reduction compared to some other units like Yenfei for example. So that is really helpful, and she can just retaliate back with Vital Astra and kill a lot of units. She's also a pretty reliable unit to tank Legendary Crom and easily kill him, and he is a common threat even though he's not really as insane as he once was. Still, this is going to be a pretty nice build to be run on her, and Null Follow-Up is going to be the best slot B skill, especially for arena game modes, so that you do not get auto doubled. All of the builds which I've showed so far are pretty much the mixed phase builds, but if you just want to run her for the player phase, then Surge Sparrow is an option with Dragon Fang. So because of the special acceleration that she can get, she can easily charge up a high cooldown special and hit really hard and recover a lot of HP out of Surge Sparrow and again be in her HP threshold. So it could be a fun build, but it is only going to be a player phase build, and there are definitely other better builds that you can run. But this can definitely be fun with a high cooldown special, and you can also use her in Aetherite's offense as a Gale Force initiator, so that makes her pretty potent as an initiator, and you can definitely save up running Flashing Blade or Heavy Blade Sacred Seal on her, so that is really good. And you can use her with Winter Bernadetta or Brave Lysithea and just use her to fall into the Wings of Mercy range. And because we're gonna be at 50% HP range, she's still gonna be having access to both of the effects from her weapon, and she can also just run the Brazen skills, which are gonna be consistently giving you the +7 attack and speed. And a bit of support from Peony and Asker is always going to be appreciated. And Asker is really important because he is going to be bringing down the Gale Force cooldown to 4. And that is something that you really need if you're just going to be two-shotting some kind of ranged unit. So definitely recommend her to use her with Asker so that you can have a 4-turn Gale Force. And Odd Tempest is pretty nice so that you can get the extra movement, which can just let you, get smited and then hopefully initiate safely against a lot of the teams. Both of her effects are going to be active at 50% HP after Ardent Sacrifice, including the damage reduction, which can definitely help you survive many of the matchups if you just don't one-shot them, and especially against medias that is going to be useful. Male Shez is a sword infantry unit with 187 BST, and he has got Crimson Blades as his preferred weapon. So this weapon is an 11 Might dual phase brave weapon, which gives him +5 speed at the cost of inflicting -5 defense and resistance. And similar to Female Shez, he also has those conditions which work on his HP. So he can get the special cooldown charge +1 on both opponent's hits and his own attacks if he's above 20% HP, and he can also reduce damage from foe's first attack if he's above 40% HP. So having this kind of dual phase brave weapon makes him into a very strong unit because he can just tank the units and then kill them in retaliation with his dual phase brave weapon, and because of having this special acceleration in his weapon, he can always trigger a 2 cooldown special on his brave hit, which is really helpful for getting a lot of kills as a brave unit. He also has good base attack of 43, which also has a super boon, and I feel like attack IV is going to be a bit more important for male Shez as a brave weapon user, because killing things in 2 hits is always a lot better than killing things with quad attacks. So I really like the attack IV on him, and his speed is actually not that bad either at base 41 and also having a super boon in it. Overall, he is going to be a pretty useful unit for the in-game content and also for Vantage sweeping in Ether Raid's chaos and also for functioning as a Gale Force unit in Ether Raid's offense. He can also be used in Summoner duels at high investment. So overall, a very nice unit with this kind of dual phase brave weapon and also the extra effects that he can get. He also has some nice skills that he can utilize and also give you as a fodder. So he has got speed defense Bulwark 3 and attack speed Oath 4, which you can inherit at the same time if you just get the tier 3 version of the Oath skill from someone else, like Holtz for example, who just got released. And the Bulwark skill is nice for Shez because he can just heal up the HP and be in the HP threshold of his weapon, and also the ideal skill if you end up running that. And attack speed Oath 4 is extremely amazing for the extra offenses that you get and also the teleportation that it enables. Now, despite him being a really good unit, a lot of people are going to be wanting to fodder him for these 2 skills, and Speed Defense Bulwark is a new skill, so it does have the Obstruct built into it, and it does provide you with the in-combat debuffs on the opponent, and the healing is definitely one of the things which is really good about the skill, so that you can have a self-sustain. So the Obstruct effect of the Bulwark skill is usually helpful in Summoner duels and in Ether Raid's offense Chaos Season. So in the Chaos Season, you can only bring 1 save unit, and it's a lot better to bring a far save unit to cover your backline from getting sniped, and then the Bulwark skill on this kind of melee frontliner can definitely help you protect your backline from the melee opponents as well, because you're not running a near save unit. So the Obstruct is really good, and the self-healing does help you for taking on multiple opponents. And the Obstruct effect can be pretty annoying for a lot of AoE mages like Spring Sonya and Duo Thor if they are trying to hit your far save tank. So you can just have this kind of Obstruct effect and use it quite well in Summoner duels. The best users of this skill are going to be units which are fast, and they also have low opportunity cost of running this in their slot B. If they're going to be giving up something like null follow-up for example, then the opportunity cost is going to be there, but units like Ascended Marita and Young Ike can pretty easily run this Bulwark skill because of their weapon and the fact that they can get null follow-up and damage reduction without their slot B skill. Flame Tribe Lin is also one of those units who can make amazing use of this and just get even more healing, because Verdict of Sakei is basically like a Spectrum finish skill, so it can just heal you up for even more, and you can just pre-charge godlike reflexes from some other support unit, and once it has got going, then she can just loop it with her weapon, and this Bulwark skill can give you even more self-sustain. The healing does have pretty good synergy with the ideal skill, but it is going to be even more amazing whenever attack speed finish comes out, because you're going to be able to get extra damage and extra healing when you're going to be running that finish skill. And someone like Shez can definitely use the finish skill really well as well, so you can just combine the healing. With Arcane Elutnir being a thing, it does provide you with pseudo null follow-up if you're a fast unit, so you can essentially run this skill in your slot B to get that self-sustain, and just run this with attack speed Oath 4 or with Time Pulse to pre-charge your Vital Astra. And a unit like Resplendent Carla can also run this because she already has null follow-up built into her weapon, and then you can just get the damage reduction by pre-charging Vital Astra using some support or by just running Time Pulse. And this could of course be run with Speed Smoke 4 to get even more damage reduction. If you want to use Shez on a budget, then Attack Defense Farm is a pretty nice budget skill to give to him from a 4-star Karen, because it does have good synergy with the Oath 4 skill and it just gives you extra attack and defense, which is always really nice. If you want to invest a bit more into him and use him in Ether Raid's Chaos, then Distant Counter Vantage is something that you can do. In Ether Raid's Chaos, he's a bit unique as a Vantage unit, even though there is Shadows of Valentia Pala and also Winter Altina. Winter Altina can bypass the damage reduction with her Twin Blades, and Shadows of Valentia Pala just has the adaptive damage. And the reason why Shez is a bit unique compared to those two is because Shez is actually fast. So you can just stack up speed on him with attack speed Oath 4 with brazen attack speed and actually bypass the Wind Sweep. Wind Sweep units are going to be a big annoyance for Shadows of Valentia Pala and Winter Altina, and I've used Shadows of Valentia Pala quite a lot for Vantage actually, so that is definitely one of her weaknesses along with Hardy Bearing. And again, Shez does have that damage reduction in his weapon, so if he fails to kill something, or if he's facing some kind of hardy-bearing opponent who does not have pre-charged lethality or deadeye, then he can survive because of that damage reduction. And he also gets a special cooldown from his weapon, so you can always trigger Moonbow, and this kind of frees up your team slot because you don't really need to run someone like Brave Lucina, for example, to give him support. You can still run Duo Thor for the exposure so that he can do more damage, but you don't really need to keep Duo Thor in like 2 spaces of him to give him the War Breaker because he's pretty self-sufficient with this special acceleration that he has got. Winter Bernadetta or Brave Lysithea are going to be here for enabling the Vantage strategy by using Ardent Sacrifice, so you can definitely do that pretty easily and have a lot of fun time with Shez and Vantage sweeping with this kind of Brave weapon. You can also use him in Aether Raid's offense as a Wings of Mercy Gale Force unit, so with Asker he can just bring down Gale Force's cooldown to 4, and because of the Brave hits he can just attack and get the Gale Force off, which is really good. And the Brave weapon can actually help you in many situations against many of the bulky units where he can actually quad attack, and just killing in 2 hits with this Brave weapon is going to be pretty amazing. Attack speed ideal can give you the most offenses, which is the best thing for a Brave weapon user, so I would definitely recommend that. And you can just run that with his Bulwark and Oath Force skill, so it is available in the Divine Codes, and if you use Shez a lot, then that is definitely the skill that you can give to him. And like I said, I do like the attack IV on him a bit more because of his Brave weapon, so if you have a choice between attack and speed IV, and if you cannot really ascend his IV, then I would definitely prefer having attack IV because of the Brave weapon. And you can also use him in Aether Raid's offense as an initiator outside of the Chaos season, and this is something that you can do by providing him with infantry speed tactic from Brave Crom, or just providing external null follow-up from infantry, null follow-up from like Ascended Celica or some other unit, and this way he can make use of Frenzy. And again, Winter Bernadetta is going to be pretty important, so once you're in the Wings of Mercy range at 50% HP, you can still have both of your effects active, and you can still just get the consistent offenses from Brazen Skills, be in the Frenzy range, which means that he can just attack consecutively 4 times if you just give him the null follow-up from Brave Crom or from external way, and that is going to be the best way of using him as an initiator. And he doesn't really need Heavy Blade or Flashing Blade, so the special acceleration in his weapon definitely makes this thing a lot easier. So you can just attack something with his Brave hits and immediately trigger Gale Force, and then all of the allies can just teleport. So if you've seen my Aether Raid's offense videos, you know how this can function. At max investment, you can definitely use him with Distant Dart, and this can provide you with the extra speed for Vital Astra, and you can also run Speed Smoke 4 so that you can get more damage reduction, and then the Bulwark skill is going to be giving you the healing. So compared to Female Shez, there's a less of a need of null follow-up on Shez because a lot of times he's going to be able to kill the opponents because of the Brave hits and being able to trigger Vital Astra on his Brave hit essentially. So that allows him to have a better kill potential than Female Shez on Retaliation. So if you want, you can definitely try and run null follow-up, but the Bulwark skill can give you that healing, which is definitely nice with a build like this at max investment. And the Speed Smoke 4 damage reduction is going to be stacking up with the Crimson Blades, and whenever Vital Astra is pre-charged, that can also be something that is going to be helpful. But mainly Vital Astra is used here as a damaging special because you can definitely stack a lot of speed with him. Shez can also be used in the player phase with a Surge Sparrow build, and Vital Astra here is going to be pretty nice so that you can just trigger that on your Brave hit in the player phase and heal up the HP. You can definitely run a higher cooldown special, but you can actually trigger Vital Astra twice in a combat if the opponent lives and counter attacks, so that can just again charge up his Vital Astra and get some healing. You can also use him in Arena at 190 BST if you do plus and merge him. And here I would say that null follow-up is definitely going to be helpful against a lot of the bulky opponents. But the Bulwark skill is still going to be an option if you just want to have that healing, or even a damage reduction skill could be run. But I definitely like null follow-up for Arena so that he can quad attack a lot of the opponents in the player phase. Finally, he could also be used in Summoner Duels S, especially as a frontliner or as a raid boss. So when you're going to be using him as a raid boss, you can just give him the external null follow-up from Fallen Lilith or from Brave Crom, for example. And you can just give him even more bonus doubler with someone like Legendary Ellie would. But I think the one kind of support he really appreciates is having a pre-charged godlike reflexes, so you can just yeet him into the enemy's range and make him really threatening. Because with the godlike reflexes damage reduction, the Crimson Blades damage reduction, he's going to be a pretty annoying unit to kill, and especially when he can just get the dual phase Brave weapon, that is going to be making it pretty hard for a lot of opponents, so he can definitely be used aggressively that way. And with this weapon, it's kind of easy to loop godlike reflexes even if you trigger it because of the special acceleration. So this is definitely a max investment build that you can run, which is going to be quite scary for a lot of opponents. And in Summoner Duels S, it is going to be working out a bit easily because you can just ban like Duo Thors and Brattle Catrias, which are usually the most annoying units for a raid boss opponent like this. Make sure to share this video with your friends if they're trying to build up any of these Shez. I went over a lot of options, and if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to leave a like and a comment. Helps me tremendously, and if you really enjoyed, you could always support me directly by using super thanks or by becoming a YouTube member down below. And for more FEH videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as Shez against the Ashen Demon at start of 3 Hopes. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.